Hey y'all, I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of the audio editing 2 exercise that I gave to you guys on Thursday. Um, it turns out that the file is actually a mono file. I had already eliminated the lousy other file on this upload, so you don't have to worry about converting a stereo to a mono file. Um, so you can just go ahead and save the audio as just like you did yesterday with everything. And so I've already got it saved to my, here, I'll show you where it is. So I saved it to my downloads folder here, bad VO M4A. I just named it that because it's a pretty bad VO. And so I have it here. And when we look at it, the first thing we want to do is listen to it, as painful as it may be. So let's check this out really quickly.
Editing video, editing audio is not that difficult. You can use it to remove fluff, bad takes, plosives, can correct overall flow of the finished VO. Voiceover. Let me read that again. And can correct the overall flow of the finished voiceover. It can also, excuse me, also can also help your voiceover sound more professional. My brother, Michael, is in town. New legislation has come out of Washington, D.C., that is causing a bit of controversy.
Okay, so you see we've got a bit of a wreck to deal with here. And I or you guys understand how to just kind of go in and delete some of the unnecessary stuff. And even in here, a lot of it you are going to have to splice a couple of spots where one sentence starts and then the sentence ends a little later on. But one of the big things that we need to look at is the news stories that we read, because there is a pretty big error um, when I say Washington and then I have an emphasis on the first syllable of Washington that we don't want to be in the finished product. So what we want to do is go find that.
Can also help your voiceover sound.
Okay.
New legislation has come out of Washington.
So what we want to do, let's zoom in. All right. And let's find where we start saying Washington. Okay. So let's see if we can get Okay. So I'm going to go right in there and let's see if that's the Washington part. Nope. So we need to get a little bit more of this. Yeah, and that'll drive you crazy after a while. Okay. So we know that's about the beginning of our our word here. So I'm going to set a marker using the M key. So I've got my marker 1 there. And now I'm going to find where I start saying Washington later on in here.
Washington. Washington.
So, okay, I'm going to take that, Shington, and take it back to our marker. All right.
Washington. Washington.
Okay, let's hear what it sounds like if we skip that selection. Let's move this out a little bit. Okay.
Out of Washington, 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 out.
So that sounds fairly smooth. What I want to do next, though, before I delete that part that's highlighted, is I want to go in here and I want to find what's called a zero crossing. A zero crossing is where the wave file crosses the 0 point. And I am going to adjust that selection outward. It's just going to take me to the first place on either side where the waveform hits the 0 point. And you see it really didn't move that much. But that allows us then to have a smoother transition because we're not cutting a wave in the middle of its peak or in the middle of its trough. We're cutting the wave as it crosses the 0 line. So this is what we have now.
Out of Washington, out of Washington, out of Washington, out of.
So that sounds fairly good, all things considered. And so I will go ahead and delete the highlighted area. So now we have this.
New legislation has come out of Washington, D.C.
And so now your option is to keep that pause on the DC, or if we want to keep this. Whoops.
Causing a bit of. That is causing a bit of.
Okay. So we don't have anything else to fix that. So let's go ahead and see if we can take that kind of unnatural pause out of there a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit of room so that the waves can reach their 0 point. And I'm going to go ahead and do that again with the 0 crossings, and I'm going to adjust it outward again. You can adjust it outward or inward. I'm just doing outward because it's almost a negligible amount at this point. So now let's take a listen to this without the pause.
D.C.
Let's back it up a little bit. And you see you have to click up here on the timeline indicator, because if you click down here, it's going to unselect your area, and then you have to start that over.
Out of Washington, D.C.
So that's an okay cut there. So we're going to go ahead and delete that there. So we now have that.
Come out of Washington, D.C.
Okay. And now we're going to find the next little bit. And I'll just show you this little edit here, and any other time that you encounter a spot where you need to split a word, just take into consideration what you have available for it. So let's see here.
That is causing a bit of.
Okay, so we've got causing a bit of.
That is.
Okay, so when I take a breath in, I'm going to use that as the starting point for the new phrase.
That is.
So let's take a breath right about there. So I'm going to go through here. And once again, I'm going to find my zero crossings. And that's not absolutely necessary. It's just something that I like to do to make the file a little bit neater, because sometimes if you do come in on your edit in the middle of a waveform, you can hear a pop, or it just makes it sound unnatural or a little hiccupy. So if you can do this and get a clean margin on everything, it just makes it sound better. So here we go.
That is causing a bit of
So you can go on with that. Now there is another portion in this audio, and we're going to go back to the beginning here. So I'm going to hit the home key.
editing video. Editing audio is not that difficult. You can use it to remove fluff, bad takes, plosives, can correct overall flow of the finished VO. Voiceover. Let me read that again. And can correct the overall flow of the finished voiceover. It can also excuse me. Also, can also help your voice over.
Okay, so that part where we say can also, you have a couple of options here. You can either take that it from way before the coughing starts, or not way before, it was just shortly before the coughing starts right here.
It can also
so we can go in here then and take
can also help your.
So you can have it say it can also help. So you would just have to kind of take it can from this part here and then fuse it onto this part here over the it can on that one. That's one option. The other option is to take
Editing audio.
You can take that editing or even editing audio and add that to this phrase here. So you can say editing audio
can also help your voice over,
as well as fixing pauses and things like that. So I hope that's fairly clear as far as how we're doing the assignment. If you have any questions, just email me and I will try to get back to it as soon as I can. Otherwise, happy editing. Thanks.